Prepare yourself for the terror. The prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors. With Lance. And Erica.
Leave all your sanity behind. It can't help you now.
Welcome to another episode of Unsung Horrors, the podcast where we discuss underseen horror films, specifically those which have fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. I'm Erica.
I'm Lance.
And it's No Rules November.
It is. Do you want me to do it?
You got to do the thing.
No Rules November.
Thank you. So that means we throw out our rule of the films that we cover having to have fewer than 1,000 views. So we can pick anything that we want. And I know we say it every year, but it's generally very tough to figure out which one to pick. Not for me this year, though, because I was struggling with it, and then I saw one movie, and the light shone upon it, and I said, yes, this is my No Rules November pick.
It fell in your lap. This is
did.
A difficult time of year
Yes.
to pick. Because, we still like to try and keep it with the Unsung Horrors theme.
Sure.
Of not like, I guess I picked Madman. That's probably the most kind of well-known.
Yeah, but it's not like in the mainstream. Like if I mentioned Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, my mom would know who that is.
Right.
But if I mentioned Madman Mars, she'd be like, "Oh, does he live around here?"
Madman Mars.
So I think that's still definitely within there. So we're still trying to cover things that are less on the radar or just not covered as much on most horror movie podcasts. So my pick for No Rules November this year, I'm very excited to talk about Doppelgänger from 1993.
Holly has found someone new.
Sorry I scared you.
Someone very secret.
It's very romantic.
Someone who hides from us all. Another self. A deeper, darker side that is capable of the unimaginable.
Fear, anger, hatred, the darkest, most primal
part of her no longer hides inside.
Look, just don't touch me. Don't confuse me with her. She may look like me, but she's not me.
It has awakened and taken control.
It's probably forced out by some kind of trauma.
What does it want?
Somebody attacked you, all right?
And now, the only thing she has to fear is herself. Doppelgänger.
Views doesn't matter. You can watch this on, as of this recording, it's on Prime, it's on Tubi, it's on Freevee, it's on Fubo, Lance's favorite.
Woo. Actually, I canceled it because the Astros season is over.
Oh,
baseball
okay.
season's done.
Okay. Sorry.
Tubi now is
Fubo.
Back to my favorite.
Okay, so Doppelgänger, quick summary. After being implicated in the murder of her mother, Holly Gooding leaves New York City and returns to Los Angeles, where she grew up. There, she rents a room in an apartment from writer Patrick Highsmith. A complicated relationship forms between them, one that includes a jealous writing partner, a horny psychiatrist, an FBI agent with a poorly dubbed Southern accent, a family lawyer who looks like Walton Goggins playing Uncle Baby Billy, a brother in a mental facility, and Holly's doppelganger who has followed her to LA and is leaving a trail of dead bodies around the city. If that isn't enough, nothing can possibly prepare you for the end, where a Brian De Palma Breakfast at Tiffany's neo-noir riff turns into a horror show.
That's great.
Thank you.
Very well done.
I actually wrote that myself.
It's convoluted, which, is what this movie is, but it actually summarizes every character and every kind of subplot. Love it.
Thank you. All right. So Doppelgänger was written and directed by Avi Nesher. His filmography is, I can see him being a Junesploitation category in the future. Because if you look at a lot of his films, including this one, he directed Time Bomb from 1991, starring Michael Biehn, which was one of my films from Junesploitation this year. She from 1984, Savage from 1996, and a movie I just finished watching this morning, Mercenary from 1996.
I wanted to watch that because it had Martin Kove in it, who's like my new go-to guy.
Yeah, it's Martin Kove. It has John Ritter. It has Robert Culp. No cock, though. Sorry, guys. So there's a very interesting element with this one. Now, first of all, I do want to say that this one was, a lot of fun. It's got sword fights, hang gliding, a fight club, and a ring of fire. It's a little bit longer than it should be for what it is. It's an hour 40. It should be 80 minutes.
Okay, yeah. I feel like a lot of Nesher films are like that.
Yeah.
They all kind of run about an hour 45, which is that's a long runtime for exploitation type films.
It is. But what's interesting about Nesher is he seems to have a weird obsession with Patricia Highsmith, the author. So for those who don't know, Patricia Highsmith, she's most famous for the Talented Mr. Ripley or all the Tom Ripley novels. She also wrote Strangers on a Train, which was adapted by Alfred Hitchcock. And she has made some pretty colorful comments. So she's pretty well known for being racist, misogynistic, and anti-Semitic.
Interesting.
So now many people close to her said that she was doing that for shock value. But I don't know. You can't really, I don't know for sure.
So does he have Highsmith? Obviously there's the writer in here called Patrick Highsmith.
Yeah.
Does he use her name in other films?
So, and I thought this one movie, Doppelganger, he's just making a little he's just dropping this reference in with this character name in it. But then when I watched Mercenary, he actually credits himself. He puts his name in credits as Patrick Highsmith. So it says a Patrick Highsmith production, and it says story by Patrick Highsmith, screenplay by Patrick Highsmith, not on Letterboxd, but in the actual film credits when you're watching it. Because I started it last night and I was like, with this Patrick Highsmith, what? What's happening here? So I don't know if it's because Avi Nesher is Israeli and he has some weird fixation, he's actually a huge fan of her writing despite her being anti-Semitic, or he's doing it as a dig somehow at her. It's very odd.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah. But I think there's this weird sort of, this element of, and we'll get into it because the character Patrick Highsmith in the movie even says, yeah, I'm trying to write a horror version of Breakfast at Tiffany's. This movie itself is a psychological thriller, which is what Patricia Highsmith is known. And so there's that connection. There's this Breakfast at Tiffany's connection, this meta element, because Doppelganger is actually a horror version of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Mm-hmm. So that's
and there's other meta details too that we'll get in with the cast members.
The director, he's got a fun filmography. I definitely would recommend, just kind of bookmarking him for Junesploitation 2025. That, the Mercenary film, Time Bomb was fun. She, Savage, things like Doppelganger, if you're coming to it late.
Have you watched Ritual?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I kind of wanted to cue that one up just because Tim Curry's in it. So,
okay.
It seems like another movie that would fit into Junesploitation.
Yeah. Honestly, I think this director should just be their pick next year. But
that's a good call.
So other crew members, the score is by, I don't know if it's Jan or Jan, because the last name is Kazmarek. So it could be Jan, which tracks because I think the cinematographer is Eastern European as well. But Kazmarek did the score for Felony from 1994, which I saw and I was looking at it and I think I gave it like 3.5, and I literally don't remember this movie at all. It's some I think it's like some Lance Henriksen actioner, and I was just like, yeah, is what it is. So the score for me is pretty generic, but there are also times in it where I'm very aware of it and it doesn't fit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at first, I love the opening scene because it's very kind of like De Palma erotic thriller happening on. And the music gave me like 90s thriller vibes, especially when the costumes popped up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were moments. One particular one that's just jumping out right now in my mind is when I think she's walking outside looking at the window and she's trying to get into the house, I think.
Into the mental institution?
Yeah. It's like kind of, if I remember it, I was thinking like, what the hell's this music? It was kind of circusy, almost like humorous.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yes. Agreed.
There is original songs though. There's some songs in there too.
Yeah.
Do you have the notes on those?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I do.
I figured you would.
So there's a couple of original songs that were written for this song. One's called Kianga, and that's played, I think, a couple times. I think it's played at the dance party, the Hollywood party, and then over at the end credits, where it's basically just people talking, saying stuff like, "Your touch alone can save me." You're what is it? We form a lover's bond as we join our bodies. It's like a girl and a guy kind of like going at it, with lyrics. And I had to look it up because the song is sung. They sing another song too. I think it's called like something Feel Free. Mm-hmm. But Maxine Lewis and Will Wheaton Jr. And the Will Wheaton thing kind of threw me off. Will spelled differently. But she is like a kind of a renowned soul singer. She first started playing and being a background singer with Tina and Ike Turner in the 70s. Okay. She sang with Ray Charles, Celine Dion, Smokey Robertson, Duran Duran, and even Britney Spears.
What?
And she actually did some of the songs and singing for, the fairly recent movie, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Have you seen that with Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman? It's good. I recommend it. Okay. I saw it, I guess, like in 2020 when it came out. And then Will Wheaton Jr., he's also kind of a big name. He sang with Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, R.I.P., Whitney Houston, Stevie Wonder. So these... I was like, I looked it up and I couldn't find anything like how they got involved in this movie, how they got the gig. Maybe they had it was a chance for them to probably do maybe their first original score together, or I don't know.
Maybe.
But those songs, especially the end credits, I was just I had it on subtitles, just reading the lyrics, getting completely turned on.
I had the subtitles on for the song at the party, and I was like, ugh, what is this?
Yeah, it's like two anxious souls entwined.
It's bad.
And then she'll whisper, "Touch me." And I'm like, what the fuck's happening? Who is this? So yeah, recommend the original songs. Yeah. Original score, not so much.
Nah. Okay, so I think the big surprise here, and this was me in the theater when I first saw it at Weird Wednesday. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the opening, I'm like, this is odd. This whole... You're right. It does feel very De Palma in its pacing and how it's being shot. But then K and B show up in the credits. And it's funny because Laird's first review of this from years ago says, note to self, when you see K and B in the opening credits, don't forget or do, because then you'll experience a mental spit take. And I did literally the first time I watched it, I forgot that their names were in the credits, even when there's that shower scene where you get a brief shot. Yeah.
And in some dream sequences and flashback scenes, the face kind of goes, it kind of overlays Drew Barrymore's from time to time.
Yeah. But then you get to the end and you're like, oh, that's why they were in the credits. And we'll get to the end, but
that's a great review. Because I feel like if I had watched this going into it, because most of the reviews that I had watched and heard about it was the effects, and I was prepared for it.
Okay,
but if you're not, holy shit!
Yeah, I wasn't, because I was like, I'm just going to go see some Drew Barrymore trashy movie at Weird Wednesday. Got my popcorn, got my Diet Coke, and I was like, oh, KNB, that's odd. And then just watching this movie that seemed to be some like, neo-noir, like trashy 90s, straight to video type thing. And then that happened. I was like, oh my
then you get some
God.
of like, put it up with some of the best practical effects of the 1990s.
Seriously.
Like this scene is.
Yeah. But so KNB is Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger. I mean, the credits are too immense to even keep up with, but just a few. Jason Goes to Hell. I will defend that. I will defend that movie.
I like how that's your first one.
I put that one first on purpose.
Okay.
Body Bags, Drag Me to Hell, Trancers. I put that one in there for you.
Thank you.
The Night Flyer, Misery, The Mist, which is one of my favorites from them. Tales from the Hood, Tales from the Dark Side, Ticks, Night of the Creeps, Boogie Nights. I mean...
Boogie Nights.
I got to end with Boogie Nights.
I got one of the most uncomfortable scenes, the sledgehammer to the foot in Misery.
Yes.
They did work. Nicotero did work on Evil Dead 2, Creepshow 2. I mean, it's just so good. Like when you see that, you're going to get something good.
Yeah. So there is one from them that I watched that was a new watch to me. I'd never seen it, and I finally watched Maniac Cop 3.
Oh, okay.
And I enjoyed it.
Wasn't that an Alan Smithy?
It is an Alan Smithy / Larry Cohen. But,
right, and Bill Lustig is.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Cohen produced it, but right. Lustig is co-credited with an Alan Smithy. So, I had fun with it. I love that series. Like,
I do too, and I think I've said this many a time, probably on the podcast. But like, Maniac Cop 2 is one of the best sequels ever. I told that to William Lustig face to face when Fantastic Fest one year, Zach Carlson hosted. It was a Maniac Cop restoration. Mm-hmm. And we watched that in the theater, and I met him afterwards, and I was like, Maniac Cop 2 is like the best sequel ever. And Zach's looking at me like, yes. I love that movie. And like, that was the year of the sequel too. What is it, 1991 maybe?
I think so, yeah, because Maniac Cop 3 is 92, so yeah, I think it's 91.
90 or 91. But yeah, so many sequels came out that year. But that one's fun. Maniac Cop 3, I need to rewatch it because I didn't get sucked in the first time I saw it.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to put it up there with Maniac Cop 2, but I had fun with it. And I think a big part of it for me was like, A, I love Robert Davi. B, I am working on something that is like Santeria adjacent. So I was like, okay, this is relevant for two things that I'm doing right now. So like I did like that kind of part of it, but it can be definitely pretty slow at times, but yeah, I have fun with it. It's fine. Like, 3 stars.
Nice.
Okay, so the film stars Drew Barrymore. She plays Holly Gooding. This is obviously, or maybe not obviously if you haven't seen Breakfast at Tiffany's, but a play on Holly Golightly, the main character, Audrey Hepburn from Breakfast at Tiffany's. She got her start in films with E.T. and Firestarter. Her father is John Barrymore, who left when she was, I think, 6 months old. So she was raised by a single mother, and she has spoken publicly about partying with her mother from a very young age. Her mother even brought her to Studio 54 at like age 9. And then Barrymore, again, public about her drug abuse and alcohol. I mean, not even having to be public, like the paparazzi knew about it. So she ended up in rehab at age 13. She became legally emancipated at 15 and cut her mother out of her life because her mother had placed her in a psychiatric facility and because she didn't want to be restricted by child labor laws for acting roles. And so I think what's interesting, and actually Laird pointed this out. No, Jasmine introduced it at Weird Wednesday with Laird. But she pointed out, like, it's very interesting that, like, the opening kill is Barrymore killing her mother. And this is, I think Barrymore's like 18 when she made this film.
Really?
Because 93 and she's born in 75.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, that's the meta thing I was talking about. Because her mother in the movie is played by her real mother, Jade Barrymore. So yeah.
So it's an interesting element with like her literally killing her mother at age 18, and they had an odd relationship. So yeah, I think there's a lot going on under the surface here. Like if you're familiar with Breakfast at Tiffany's and the director and his obsession with Patricia Highsmith and Barrymore's background, the types of films that she was making at this time. I watched Poison Ivy for the first time. I'd actually never seen it.
I have seen that, a long time ago.
Well, apparently there's 3 sequels. So
really?
Yeah. There's like a DVD that's got all 4 of them on there. But I rented the VHS from We Love Video because it wasn't streaming anywhere.
Yeah, because that's when that was before Doppelgänger, right? So that's when she started turning and into something more risque.
Yeah, she's getting into her little. She's got her trashy '90s phase here.
She's going
having
nude
an affair
in her parts.
Yep, a lot of nudity. Good for her.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as she's of age, yes. Getting it on with Tom Skerritt and Poison Ivy, which is a little bit weird, but
this opening scene, I didn't fully look at the cast. So when you see, there's the scene of her, credits are still rolling and she's having like that affair, sexual encounter in the room.
With the pigeons. Yeah.
With the pigeons. Yeah. And I thought it was James Woods at first, giving her like the mankind mandible claw, sticking his fingers. I was like, oh shit, James Woods and Drew Barrymore. But it wasn't him.
I mean, it was the 90s. It could have happened. So,
oh, yeah, absolutely. I was like, this makes us more 90s, like if that's actually James Woods.
Yeah, but I think, clearly with movies like Doppelgänger and Poison Ivy, she's really trying to shed her innocent child actor roles like E.T. and have this sort of new rebellious outlet that doesn't involve drugs. Now, personally, I don't think her drug and alcohol abuse at a young age is a low point in her life. That's clearly her starring in Adam Sandler movies.
Oh, geez.
I'll say it. I don't care.
I mean, I'll say that I think Drew Barrymore, with her mom being in the movie and she's killed within the first couple of minutes, like the whole meta aspect is cool. The Breakfast at Tiffany's thing, the way she's dressed, like she looks great in her costume, but I think she's very meh in this. She doesn't really go hard. I don't think it's definitely not her best role. No,
I don't think so either. I think that she can be charming in some of her later roles, I guess. But yeah, in this one, there's one scene in particular where when she's trying to be bitchy with Patrick, it's the day after they had supposedly slept together, which I do really need to talk about that. And she's being so bitchy to him and what are you talking about? What I didn't, if you're going to do that with her, just don't tell me. And it's bad. She is not great in this.
Yeah.
The movie around her is much better than what she's giving to it.
Well, and the performances, not so much who we'll get to in a minute, the Patrick character who has also kind of zero charisma.
Yeah, correct.
But the campy characters and all the side characters, they sell it.
Yes.
And they make this a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's not like she's... You don't like The Wedding Singer?
What?
She's great in The Wedding Singer.
Adam Sandler ruins everything he's in.
That's my Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's...
Fever Pitch. I've grown to hate Jimmy Fallon. I used to like him, honestly, and on SNL, but that movie does make me laugh.
Because she ends up in movies with people that are insufferable to me. So I can't even appreciate if she is doing a good job or being cute or charming. And I can sometimes see that. I will tell you that the movie that I saw, I think I saw it maybe when it came out or it was on video, or it was probably on TV. I don't remember, but I remember seeing it and thinking, my God, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Never been kissed.
Oh, yeah, terrible.
She's a reporter, goes undercover as a high school student, and then her and the teacher fall in love. That's not okay.
Well, what makes it even worse is the teacher finds out that she's not a student and he gets pissed at her because he's falling in love with the student. And it's more or less, it's you're older than you're saying.
Yeah, he's mad. He's like, oh, what? You want me to be okay because you think it's fine because now it's okay that I'm attracted to you? I'm like, you shouldn't have been attracted to her in the first fucking place. This is disgusting. How did this movie get fucking made?
It's, yeah.
Oh my God. Ew.
Whip It's a great movie though. She's good in Whip It.
Okay,
I do like Whip It.
All right, I'll check that out. But I just,
But you are right. Yeah, her roles are
she's mostly in like romantic comedies, and it's just not my thing. So like, and she's with people like, you know, Adam Sandler and Jimmy Fallon, who are just, I cannot watch them. So I don't have any. No, not going to do it. But let's talk about her charisma vacuum roommate boyfriend in Doppelganger, Greg Newburn, aka Paul Rudd's doppelganger.
Paul Rudd, yeah. Andrew McCarthy. I got a lot of like a bunch of 80s and 90s type of kids coming my way.
Yeah, he was in, I guess he's in one of the Saw movies. I don't remember, one of the sequels. He was the groom in Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride 2. And he was in Adventures in Babysitting, which I do like, but he's not a good person in that. That's all Elizabeth Shue in that movie. So, and Vincent D'Onofrio as Thor.
Yeah, that's a great scene. I love that. But yeah, what's his name? George Newbern?
Yeah, Greg Newburn.
Greg Newburn. Yeah. He's just some basic white dude.
He's so basic.
He's very basic. No charisma at all.
And the fact that like he has this, I know there's like this, you know, neo-noir femme fatale element coming in, and like she moves in and just completely like disrupts his life and causes chaos. And if you're attracted to and are trying to help a woman who is like, hey, I have this doppelganger, just very matter-of-factly.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh, okay. And you're not like, God, I need to get her out of here.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the background noise and like they're not really small details because they're so in your face. All these National Enquirer clippings that he has all over his room.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that is supposed to help you understand why this character is so involved and like doesn't care.
Maybe.
Because they don't really hit on any of those weird.
Yeah.
Like, does it help him write? Like, why are like, you know, woman gives birth to bat baby or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that maybe is some sort of, because you're right, when he's just a terrible guy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense what he's doing.
No.
I have a question for you. Would you rent, because you lived in LA, right?
Yeah. Well, Long Beach, but yeah.
Would you rent an apartment with this guy?
No.
For $420. You walk in, it says it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. He only has 1 bedroom, 1 bath. He's obviously a compulsive liar. He's never cleaned up anything in his life. I'm like, I would not room with this dude.
No, I wouldn't. But honestly, so the Angels Court, the name of the apartment complex, with the Griffith Observatory in the back, like you can see the Hollywood Hills and like literally you can see the Griffith Observatory. Awesome view from like the street, Danny Trejo included. But no, like it's like those types of apartment complexes in LA are a dime a dozen. They're fucking everywhere.
Right.
You could go anywhere. You could throw a rock and hit one just like it. Probably not with as much red and green lighting, though.
Oh, I appreciate the courtyard lighting.
Oh, same. I was like, are they getting ready for Christmas or Halloween?
Yeah.
Or what are they doing?
Are they going to throw a haunted house?
Are they shooting a Jalo here? What's happening?
I did love the locations in this, including Angel's Court, because it all felt very familiar to me, like something from The Fly or from like Pulp Fiction. A lot of the locations are, especially in the 90s, they all kind of look the same to me. They bleed together.
It does. I mean, that type of apartment complex is so very LA to me. And like that's a big part. And like them driving around and stuff. And like that played a big part in like my double feature choice as well. The fact that it's in Los Angeles, I think is like a big part of the film itself. And like, you know, Greg Newburn is some like, you know, shitty wannabe screenwriter, of course, like just cliched. And
I was like, this guy wants to be Quentin Tarantino so bad. Like he wants to write that out.
But his name is Patrick Highsmith. And he is no Patricia Highsmith when it comes to writing talent, because and his eccentric co-writing partner Ellie is super annoying. Like
she is, but she has like so many great one lines. There's some watch your dick, pinhead. It's terminally lodged in your brains. Like, I don't know. I like the way she treats Patrick, because he's a fucking idiot and she knows it, but she's like in love with him.
Yeah.
And she goes along with everything he says. She's like, oh, you want to follow her? That's the stupidest idea. But yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, the characters are odd.
They are. All right. And then we have Dennis Christopher, who I think most horror fans know from Fade to Black. He was also in Django Unchained, and he was Eddie in the 1990 version of It. And so here's where we're going to start getting into some spoilers. So, folks, if you have not seen Doppelganger, I very strongly recommend that you watch it before listening to the rest of the episode, because you want to go in as blind as possible to this movie, I think. But Dennis Christopher is responsible for 100% of the compelling characters and the fun characters in this movie.
Yes.
So you have the FBI agent who's got this really badly dubbed Southern accent. You've got the father with the scar on his face, who, when he's chasing Patrick through the aqueduct underbridge, and like he's just like at the fence, like screaming, like like you could squeeze through. I think you're about the same size as him, but anyway.
So the FBI agent's name was Stanley White, right? He's the guy that pulls him into the other apartment complex. Yeah, that scene was one of my favorites because I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yes.
The voice, the dubbing is so out of place. It makes no sense. It's not even matching the movement of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and some of the stuff he's saying too, like, are you doing her? It's like, what? Are you fucking her? Like, it's just, I could not get over that scene at all.
That's kind of like one of the interesting parts of this is that bad dubbing, and you realize that it's kind of meant to sound that way because it is this other character impersonating these other people. Even when Holly, quote unquote, goes to the mental hospital to see her brother at night, and you hear the voice and you're like,
oh, when she's talking to like the reception.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, is this the doppelganger? And that's why she sounds weird. But then in hindsight, you're like, no, that was him trying to like doing her voice. And so all of these like weird elements actually, well, not all, most of the weird elements make sense by the end. There's a few things that are like, wait, so how is she's the thing, but he was impersonating and killing? And so it's got that Jalo element where it's like, you know, exposition dump. There's technically, I guess, 2 killers now. And
the ending is, I guess we'll get to the ending.
Sure.
But it's basically like the writers they're like, let's make something a little stupid where this Dr. Heller is just like a master of disguise, and he's in love with Holly, and he's basically wants to keep her forever as a patient, is from what I gather, or something.
Yeah, I guess
he's trying to drive her insane.
Yeah.
But she's actually, like, did he plant the idea of doppelganger into her mind, or was she actually experience it in real life? Like, you can't think too hard on it because it's...
No, yeah.
And then they're like, okay, that ending will piss people off. Let's go ahead and throw this fucking Hellraiser makeup effect ending at the end.
K and B are available. Let's grab them real quick, and we'll throw this in at the end. And we could back up. So it starts with we talked about the opening, the sex, the pigeons. Actually, there's lots of pigeons throughout the film. There's some in the courtyard. Yeah. There's some like in the dream at the end when Holly's in the coffin. John Woo fan, perhaps, too? You know?
It's like a lot of the background noise. Like, I feel like there are some sort of clues. Like, even when he leans in and he tells one of the kids, Patrick tells a kid, like, be careful, the white ones bite. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, it's interesting.
One of my, I guess, sort of favorite things about this is the things in this that are very firmly 1990s. So, Patrick always taking his car stereo with him. Like, I never took my full stereo out, but I definitely did take the front panel off of it, you know, whenever you like park your car and you take that out. White nylons.
Yeah.
And the phone sex line. Like those things, all very 90s.
I wanted more of that character so bad. The sister Jan or Sally Kellerman?
The nun, yeah.
The nun, yeah.
And like, no, I liked her a lot too, but but it's also... Again, these side characters that are so interesting and we want more time with them, but they also sort of leave us with more questions because I'm like, How or why does a former nun who now runs a phone sex line become an expert on doppelgangers? It's like, oh, because she used to be a nun. Wait, do nuns get training on doppelgangers? Is this a thing? Any nuns that are listeners, please inform. Like, I just, what?
Yeah, and because I love that scene where she was explaining doppelgangers.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is really fucking fascinating. I can't wait to see her again in the movie.
Nope, she doesn't come back.
Because there's a lot of, the explanation's very odd too of the doppelganger, which I really respect.
Yeah. And like some of the other side characters, I mentioned like the lawyer he's not like a disguise, but he's an actual real person. But he did remind me, I mentioned he looks a lot like the Walton Goggins Evangelicus.
Oh yeah, it's the Mike Wallace character, the guy that gives her the keys to the house.
Yeah.
He
looks like that Walton
the
Goggins
hairpiece
guy.
on that guy is so fucking impressive. Yeah, definitely baby Billy.
Baby Billy something. I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, he looks like him. Danny Trejo, I mentioned, he makes an appearance as cat caller, construction worker. Then one of the other characters that the psychiatrist comes into the film as is this producer, Richard Wolff. And okay, this is 1990s. And I'm like, Richard Wolff, as in Dick Wolf, as in Law and Order. And then my mind starts going to, okay, can you imagine Lenny, Jerry Orbach's character, trying to solve this case and like the one-liners he would have in a fucking doppelganger case? It would be amazing.
Name's Gordon Meeks, cards registered in his name. Just bought it last month.
You should have thought about leasing.
Haven't you done this on an episode before where you had like a whole episode?
Yes, I always bring it back to Law and Order. Jerry Orbach, Michael Moriarty, Jerry Orbach is like peak Law and Order for me.
That's funny. Yeah, that was at the party where the dude spills V8 all over. He's drinking V8 out of a wine glass or something. And I mean, those side characters, like I said, the campy characters, they're way more memorable than what's his face and what's her name.
Yeah,
Patrick and Holly.
Yeah, So there's also Holly's brother, Fred, who's in the mental institution. Okay, does he or did he also have a doppelganger? Because Holly seemed to be hinting at that when they were talking about the father's death later on. Or maybe it was Dr. Heller who was hinting at like the brother.
No, when she first sees Fred, she says like, I'm going through what you went through.
Yes,
like, because apparently it's rumored that he killed or is believed that he killed the father.
Okay, so because she's being accused of killing the mother, that's what she meant. Okay, because at first I was like, wait, does he have a doppelganger too? Is this like a family thing? Like were they all...
Well, yeah, that's what I was hoping for. That's what I got from the sister Jan. She said like everybody has doppelgangers basically. And and she said, I think she even asked Patrick, like, are you here about yours? And he's like, no, this one's a woman.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that it would kind of go down that route. And even at the end, I was like, I mean, it would have been kind of cool if Patrick did the transformation and he's the fucking good doppelganger. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, and the way she's talking to Fred, I felt like it was some sort of like a Wolfman family curse or something. Like it's set up as kind of like a monster movie where she has this condition that could be very Jekyll and Hyde, very werewolf affliction.
Yeah, it shows the webbing in her fingers at the very beginning opening kill too, and
it's just slime, right?
I think so, but
it's like
it looked
very
like
poltergeist,
webbing.
like Carol Ann and the mom coming through. Like,
yeah.
So I figured that it was some sort of they all have doppelgangers, but no, it's never shown. Or
I mean, you have a doppelganger technically.
I do,
which is
the ghostly double of myself. He haunts my flesh and blood.
Yeah.
He's, what is it? It wants to survive. Cody wants to survive like me. He's like a jungle animal, totally instinctive, totally unreasonable. He'll do anything to keep his freedom, even kill. So he's in this limbo state.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that can actually reunite us is love.
Yeah. And when she said that, the nun says like the only way to like appease the doppelganger and
so they can coexist peacefully.
Is love. And I was like, oh God, don't be a love conquers all ending, please. And then it's not.
But then it is. Yeah, the endings. There's essentially 3 endings in this. It does keep going, and it's my double feature pick actually is kind of based on, I mean, a lot of the things, but there's a lot of wheel spinning going on in both movies. I feel like there's a lot of nothing happening for the sake of either confusing the viewer. I don't know if it's intentional or it's just for the sake of showing nothing.
Sure. Before we get to the ending, though, I do want to get back to the day after that Patrick and Holly had sex on the kitchen floor. First of all, John made a joke about like the Santa Ana winds, real thing, the tree like banging against the window, and he was like, and I was like, what? He was like, he's about to bang her bush. Like, God damn it, John. Anyway, so Patrick wakes up on the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
And, he's like, oh yeah, we got it on last night. And she is in the other room with her like, daddy issues music box. And she's like, what are you talking about? We didn't have sex. Like, whatever you do with her, I don't care. And my question is, okay, if that's actually Holly that he's talking to, and she's just in like a cranky mood for whatever reason, and then the Holly that he had last night, was that actually Dr. Heller as Holly? Did he fuck Dr. Heller?
No, I mean, she is. No, I think he really fucked. I think he fucked Holly. He fucked Drew Barrymore.
But she seems to be like...
Well, she has multiple personalities from what I can gather, like still. Like that's why she was a patient, and she does have weird mood swings that, yeah, I don't know. I didn't go...
Because they didn't show anybody getting naked, even though we have nudity in this film. Like she's in the shower, raining blood. And...
yeah, it's very Rose Albanieri. Like when that was happening, I was like... yeah. I was going to say something completely inappropriate. I don't know if I should.
That's okay. But in my head, I was like, wait a minute. Does he remember having sex with her? Or is he like, wait, what happened last night? And he thinks that they did.
Yeah. Because doesn't he wake up and there's like worms and maggots like on him?
There's like fucking shit everywhere. And I don't know if
and then Nathan the cat's just kind of chilling there.
Yeah.
Did you see at the end a special thanks shout out to Nathan the cat? Nesher? I was like,
I know.
It's very...
poor Nathan cat.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that, but that actually makes it much more intriguing, thinking that Dr. Heller's like, okay, I got to fucking seal the deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he would have had to drug him somehow, because obviously, like, once like the mask and the clothes come off, he's going to know, like, hey,
he probably drugged him, and he's like, here's the fleshlight, see you later.
Yeah, like, bit him on the shoulder and called it a day.
Sprinkled some maggots and worms on him and went out the window.
Oh my God, this movie. I mentioned how the first time I saw it, I completely forgot about seeing K&B in the credits at the beginning, even when there was like stuff peppered in kind of throughout the film. And then you get to the end, and this is when, if anyone saw my initial review on Letterboxd, this is when my jaw hit the floor, because this scene doesn't belong in this movie, but I am so glad that it's there.
Yeah.
Because it's just, the effects in this, you said it, are some of the best practical effects I've seen in a 90s horror movie.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, no, I was so impressed by, I mean, she's literally, her body's twisting. It's so, it's such an original idea. Like she's like so kind of like almost fighting it, and she's twisting into a worm, which breaks apart into two beings.
Yeah.
Her doppelgangers.
It's like, it starts off as like a bloody, like what Gina Davis gives birth to, like the maggot
like
thing,
a larva type,
large larva looking thing. And then it splits off into two blood characters that look like Julia from Hellraiser, but also kind of mixed with Frank from original Hellraiser, like coming out of the floor.
Yeah,
like,
but they look like aliens from like Communion or something.
Yes,
they're like skinless aliens.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're terrifying. And there's scenes too at the end too, like when it keeps going, and I think she's having a dream in the hospital bed, but there's like a mouth with like these jagged teeth, and it opens up and it's an eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
Like even those little quick cut practical effects that they probably spent hours making and doing for literally a second of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
It makes this movie. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie leading up to this is just some like weird, trashy, like De Palma ripoff of Breakfast at Tiffany's, like I mentioned in my summary. But then you get to the end, and I was like, oh no, every horror fan needs to see this movie for this ending, for these effects. Like, if you are a fan of practical effects, like this is simply a must see, I think.
Yeah, it's a medley of 1990s films, like erotic thriller, drama, melodramatic stuff, and you're not expecting this level of horror and gore in a movie like this.
Yeah, you expect it in something like a Clive Barker movie or a David Cronenberg movie or something like that. Like, I think Justin LaLiberty's review had something to do with like, well, I didn't know I needed a Poison Ivy Hellraiser intersected movie in my life, but here it is. And I was like, wait, what? And that was before I'd seen the movie.
Right.
And so I thought like, oh, maybe there's some like, not necessarily like the gore effects from Hellraiser, but I thought, oh, maybe there's some like demon from below, like deal, like someone's feeding it for that. Like, I thought maybe there was some like element from that he was talking about with Hellraiser. And then you get to the end and I'm like, holy fuck, this movie.
Yeah. Very Hellraiser-ish. It's just, I wish I saw it in the theater. I wish I saw it with you.
I do too. But it was a good time. It was weird because like I think everyone the theater was kind of quiet for most of the part. I mean, there's some laughing at certain parts, justifiably so, of course. Weird Wednesday is a good crowd for the most part. Mm-hmm. When the end came on, I think most people were like me. Like I wasn't like, I don't verbally react, but my jaw was just like agape, like watching this thing. And I think that's what most of the audience was. So I think this it wouldn't be like a raucous crowd or anything, but I think this would play really great with, going forward. I hope more theaters play this one because this was so much fun.
Yeah. Like imagine seeing this like with a Fantastic Fest crowd or something.
Yeah.
They'll be hooting and hollering and taking the clothes off. And
throw this into like the Horror-thon up in Philly or like the marathon at like New Bev or something like that. Just throw it in the middle and people be like, the fuck, Doppelgänger. And then it gets to the end and people would be like, oh my God, like this would be the movie that people would walk out of there talking about because guaranteed like most of the other stuff people had probably seen.
Right.
Or maybe it was like some classic. They're just like, oh, I just never seen it. And that was great. No, this is a movie that you talk about like after seeing it because it's so bizarre and like the effects are so fucking amazing.
Yeah, the way it bends genre like from scene to scene, like and then when you get to that finale, it's completely memorable. Yeah. I think it wasn't as effective, unfortunately, for me because I had already read and learned about and was told like the ending, and I started seeing glimpses of like that weird alien skinless creature, in the flashback scenes. And I felt like, okay, it's coming. Like, obviously I was still caught off guard by how well it looked and how gross it was and slimy and just visceral. It was just good. Yeah. I wish I went in completely blind watching this.
I hope more people will maybe see this movie in our list of episodes and be like, what's that? And then they go watch it and then are blown away and then come back and listen. Yeah,
there are some people that watch movies that just give up, like halfway in a movie, they're like, this sucks. This is just meandering bullshit. Like, I don't care about this erotic thriller. And I hope it doesn't happen in this because the payoff is worth it.
Yeah. I saw a few reviews that were like 5-star reviews and people were like, this is boring. I'm like, you clearly did not finish this movie.
That's what I got. That's what I took from it too. I'm like, okay, it's boring up until like,
it's weird. And it's like, if you don't like 90s erotic thrillers, if you don't like neo-noirs or noir films even, if you don't like any of that, I get why you would bail pretty early on.
Yeah.
But you missed out, whoever you are.
Yeah, I mean, even not just the effects, but Dr. Heller, you get him having like a crazy Roddy McDowall moment at the end. Like he is losing it. Like, that's another great scene. That Stanley White FBI agent and then his whole dialogue breaking down what he did through the whole movie it's a great ending.
Yeah.
But then then that happens. Also, as soon as you see the stained glass window and that, I'm like, somebody's flying through that.
Oh,
like,
100%. Yeah. Yeah. But like it does. after the scene at the mansion, all of this, and then it goes on for a little bit. Like, it didn't,
It goes to the hospital.
Yeah, and then there's this whole,
The
I'm
music
like,
box thing. I'm like, of course it ends with the music box because it opened with the music box.
Yeah, but you didn't need that. I mean,
No.
there's definitely quite a bit that could be trimmed from this. Nothing in the ending except for, post mansion. But there's definitely there could have been some trimming down. And I think that's I think that's Nesher's like shortcoming when it comes to being a writer and director is like,
Yeah.
he goes a little longer than he needs to. The same thing happened with Mercenary, where like the huge, what you think is the finale, Martin Cove's, I don't know, fucking Fortress of Solitude, some bullshit. His thing was built on top of a ancient church, which was built on top of a like pagan ritual site or something like that.
Damn.
And then they have like, there's like fucking dead bodies hanging everywhere. And like they have this ring of fire and people fighting and it's super bloody. And there's explosions everywhere. People are on fire in this movie. And I don't think they're supposed to be like, not like protected suit. Like there's explosions happening and they're a little too close to it. And all of this is happening. And I was like, this is fucking great. And then I like hit there's like 10 minutes left in this movie? No, 30 minutes left in the movie. And like this whole thing. And the worst part about it is like the guy who's the lead, it's like some French action star, like Olivier Grunier or something like that. Zero fucking charisma, like negative charisma. And he's pulling John Ritter along and like they got to go back to the place and like that whole thing. I was like, the movie should have ended with Martin Cove at the Fortress of Solitude. What the fuck, man? So,
I can see it. Like I talked about when I watched Bruno Mattei movies, like those are very like, geez, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like you don't need this.
But he literally put the finale in the middle of the movie. And I'm like, bro, like we could have figured like, or if you needed to wrap up like what the actual deceit was, like that should be like 5-10 minutes max. But no, you made it 30.
Right.
I'm like, my guy, come on. You're better than this. We have witnessed this in Doppelgänger, but you gotta trim it down a little for us.
Yeah, maybe you think he's being clever and witty with all like the twists and changes of the endings. But yeah, it usually doesn't work. It gets exhausting.
It does.
And if you do it in every movie, get out of here.
It's a bit. So
it's like the M. Night thing. Like you know what to expect while watching.
You were just waiting for the twist. Yeah. So I think we both recommend this for sure. Obviously, we hope people went into this blind. We hope that, I saw like a bunch of people had watched this movie getting ready for this episode. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Looked like you did. I saw a bunch of like 3.5, 4-star reviews.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys. Double feature pick, Lance.
Okay. We already talked about a few that kind of popped in our heads. Like, De Palma, you could do Body Double might work with it. I kept thinking of the 90s vibe and Fear from 1996 with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Playing a two-face kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. Sweet guy, but also a psychopath.
You don't have a Marky Mark impression for the audience?
And then, do I today? I'm not going to do the How's Your Mother? Like, say hi to your mom for it. And then Enemy from 2013, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I've talked about this movie. Dune, I always forget it. Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I always have struggled too,
Yeah.
but I absolutely love this movie. It's about like this college professor that he rents a movie and sees an actor that looks exactly like him. And they kind of meet each other and stalk each other and fuck with each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. I remember I've seen this movie. Yeah.
It's like
the ending has like a complete what the fuck moment too.
Yes.
So, okay.
It's like this surreal psychological thriller. I think it would pair well with.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Great. Yeah.
But that's not my pick.
Okay. I feel like if you didn't pick a certain movie for this, I might feel like I don't know you at all.
I feel like this one's the more obvious pick to a lot of people who have watched Doppelgänger and then this movie, The Dark Half.
Oh, okay.
This was also released in 1993.
Yeah.
Directed by George Romero, another Stephen King adaptation on his part. And this one's about an author played by Timothy Hutton, who again is like a basic white dude. He's kind of Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
But Hutton plays an author of murder mystery suspense thrillers, and he uses a pseudonym or a pen name for his novels. He goes by Richard Stark. And in the movie, he decides to stop writing under this pseudonym, kills off the Stark name, even doing like this PR stunt by having a funeral, and there's like a headstone with Richard Stark's name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And after this all happens, the Richard Stark, also played by Hutton, becomes this physical entity, and he starts fucking with the wife, the whole family, killing people. And it becomes like this, it's getting the true author into trouble. Has a lot of similarities with Doppelgänger, I feel like. Yeah, it spins its wheels from time to time, like I said, Doppelgänger does. So there's a lot of scenes of a lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's absolutely worth the watch. There's a lot of atmosphere. The dark half. What'd you think I was going to pick?
I thought you were going to pick Mulholland Drive.
Oh, yeah, the Mulholland Drive with the... Yeah, I didn't do it.
I know. I don't know you at all.
I feel like Enemy might be a better pick.
Enemy is a better pick. I think I was going more for like how very entrenched in LA both movies are.
For sure.
And just like this idea of identity and not really like knowing kind of thing. So yeah, I think I was like, let's probably pick Mulholland Drive, or at least it'll be in like he'll list off before he gets to it.
Didn't even mention it. I feel like I lean too hard in David Lynch comparisons.
The people expect it of you.
It's true.
So I expected it. And I mean, the dark half is a great pick. I just, I was like, oh, I'm going to pick Mulholland Drive. So I won't pick that one. I did pick one that you did list off though, actually, because, as hard as this one goes into trying to be a Brian De Palma movie, I feel like we should give that to people in a double feature. And so, yeah, I picked Body Double from 1984 for my double feature pick. Nice. Takes place in LA. There's tons of like movie references in both. There's the obvious neo-noir thriller element and doubles. That one has a Bill Maher doppelganger, just like this one has a Paul Rudd or Andrew McCarthy doppelganger. So Body Double is about this like down on his luck guy, Jake Scully. He gets offered an opportunity to house sit in the Hollywood Hills, and he's kind of a creep and gets uses a telescope and is spying on this woman and ends up seeing her getting murdered through the telescope. And from there, he gets thrown into the sort of seedy underworld of LA. And we don't really get like seedy underworld of LA because, the closest we get is like him going to the phone sex line place. And that's kind of it. But I think I do really feel like because there's so many like film references in this and like the sort of meta element and how very much like Drew Barrymore is a part of Hollywood at this time, that I was like, I want something like really like it has to be in LA to be a double feature kind of thing. And I think Mulholland Drive's another one like that.
That Hollywood party scene in Doppelgänger too. That's kind of skis.
Yeah. Body Double 1984, Dark Half. What year? I can't remember.
93 as
93.
well.
Oh, okay. There you go. Even better.
Same year.
All right, Lance. What is your No Rules November?
No Rules November. Okay, I'm going to go with one that I mentioned in our Horror Gives Back episode. So for the people that listened to the many hours of that, first off, thank you. I salute you. You guys are soldiers. But I watched this for the Spain category. Obviously over 1,000 views, which we're throwing out. But I want to talk with you about it for an hour.
Okay.
Eugenio Martín's A Candle for the Devil.
Okay.
From 1973. Spanish horror about two sisters who run an inn. They both suffer from religious paranoia, and they begin to murder young tenants whose morals don't really meet their strict religious standards.
Mm.
If anybody who already listened to the episode, I talked about the cast. I absolutely love the full cast in this, particularly the two sisters, and I'm excited to potentially watch if I can find more films from them that they're in, as well as Eugenio Martin, who also directed Horror Express, which is a banger. Also, as I mentioned, there are multiple versions out there that are heavily edited, and those are usually under the title "It Happened at Nightmare Inn." Mm-hmm. So stay away from those, everybody.
You said the Tubi one was the edited one, right?
Do not watch the one on Tubi, for sure.
But
we'll include the link. Yeah, there's a couple YouTube versions. We'll include the link that has the full runtime. The channel is specifically called Visual Ventures.
Okay.
Has all the gore, has all the nudity you need. Scorpion Releasing did a limited release of this. 88 Films has a region-locked version of it, a Blu-ray. But yeah. Also, this next episode, Erica, is a big milestone for us. Do you know why? I will tell you, because you don't.
Hang on. Give me a second.
I've given you 5 seconds, if not longer.
Give me 10 seconds. It is our... No, we've done more than 100 episodes.
No, we're over 100 episodes.
I know. When we hit that one already. I don't know. What is it?
It's our 100th film.
Oh, okay. So for the list on Letterboxd, it's going to be 100?
This is the 100th film. I was trying to find something maybe that had something to do with like a big anniversary or something, because we'll be popping champagne, right?
I mean, sure.
100 films we've covered.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Doppelganger's number 99, which is cool, but...
oh, that is, because doubles. 99.
There you go.
Hey! I planned that. I totally planned that, you guys.
Yeah, because you obviously knew this next episode. It's going to be a big milestone for us.
That's exciting.
100 films.
Okay.
And then it is A Candle for the Devil.
I'm excited. This has been on my watch list for a while. I'm excited to watch it. After that episode, we are going to have a just quick end of year episode. Just me and Lance this year. I'm pretty short on time for like editing. So gonna have just a quick one. I don't know. That'll drop sometime in December whenever I feel like it, kind of thing. Whenever I get around to editing it. But so that'll be coming too. And then obviously, we're taking December off of regular episodes. And then we'll be back middle of January for Jolly January.
That's right.
Just preparing everyone for what's to come in the next couple months and your lack of unsung horror. So prepare yourself with something else.
Or if you haven't listened to Horror Gives Back, that's hours and hours.
You can always go back and re-listen to episodes.
Yeah, listen to our progression. Listen to specifically the progression of my audio when we did it remotely.
Yeah.
That
wasn't as bad as I've heard some that are really bad.
It's just, now that I know what we can compare it to.
Yeah. We have a couple episodes where there was a ghost in the machine that was fucking with our audio for like no reason whatsoever.
Like Doppelganger being the 99th pick. That was intentional.
Yes.
For those episodes.
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. This episode has bad audio because we're covering an SOV movie. There it is.
I know you're talking about Dreamstalker.
That's right. Yeah, that one did have pretty forked audio. If you're not already, you can follow this podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We are not on Twitter anymore because I can't.
Shit's broke, y'all.
Shit's broke. I don't want to do it. So I'm gone off of Twitter. So is Unsung Horrors. You can join our Discord. There is a link in show notes to join. All or not all friendly people are welcome. So if you're an asshole, I'll kick you out. So yeah, you can follow Unsung Horrors at Unsung Horrors on Instagram or Facebook. And you can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Hex Massacre.
I'm also on Instagram and Letterboxd at Schibi.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Watch out for your doppelgangers, and we will see you back next episode for A Candle for the Devil. Bye.
Bye.
Would you like to meet my doppelganger? We look just the same, but I am completely normal, and she is completely insane. Would you like to meet my doppelganger? She looks just like me, and you won't know which
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
I am Adam Lundy, co-host of They Live by Film, a podcast dedicated to bringing you film discussion and interviews from around the world. Every week, my co-hosts Chris Haskell, Zach Bryant and I discuss a wide range of films, from monumental classics like Vertigo and The Rules of the Game, to the craziest, schlockiest movies ever made like Deathbed and everything in between. We are also lucky enough to have sat down with some of the biggest players in the boutique Blu-ray and film restoration game. If this is your thing, then come hang out with us every Thursday at 7 PM Eastern, wherever you normally stream your podcasts, and now as part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.